We're going to talk about how do you spell love?
You spell love Love.
Not always. Sometimes it's Time.
Ah, love is spelled with time.
Yes.
And that is something we're going to discuss this week on JW Fusion, especially when it comes to your children.
Yes.
Less stuff and more time.
Yes.
That's good.
Oh my gosh.
This week on JW Fusion, it's going to be awesome.
Stay tuned.
Blowing in from the Windy City, it's time for JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.
This week on JW Fusion, I'm back. It's me, your co-host, James H. Carpenter Barnes, and I'm so excited. This week, I'm here with my lovely host, the beautiful, magnificent, and lovely Wendy B.
Hello.
I love that shirt.
Thank you.
That is so nice.
I acquired it from someone.
Oh, yeah, you did. That's a nice. Listen, this week, we got an awesome show this week.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the topic of how love can be spelled with time. Mm-hmm. You know, and we want to talk about, let's open with the discovery you made with Matthew, our son, how we thought that material things, stuff, going places, things like that were
opening packages. Yeah.
You know, like us. We like opening packages.
Right.
But for him, it was time.
Yes. What had happened is I was reading the book, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman.
Okay.
And
do you remember what those are, the 5 love languages?
Yeah. So the 5 love languages are acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, quality time, and words of affirmation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I put in my head, like, I know he's going to say, he's going to want stuff, like gifts, right?
Yeah, like most kids.
Yeah. And I went through all 5 with him. He was fairly young. I don't think he was even a teen. Was he a teenager?
Yeah, he was about 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, he said quality time.
And when you thought about it, it made sense.
It made complete sense. And
wow.
Was just very thankful because time is what even if I was tired or didn't feel good, we would do stuff. And he knew we had this thing called me time. Mm-hmm. Because he was sandwiched between 2 special needs children.
Right.
And it was my goal to make him have as normal a childhood as possible.
Okay.
So when possible, preferably at least monthly, we could have me time. He knew it was just the 2 of us. And we would do like nerdy stuff. We just go and sit in the bookstore and have one of those delicious cupcakes. And we would just have books and magazines all around us. And we would be reading or we'd have a conversation. And he said that's what he enjoyed the most.
Well, you know what? It makes perfect sense because in the scriptures, the Bible admonishes us constantly to seek the Lord early, the first part of your day, to spend that time with Him.
Yeah.
This is something I've learned, and I didn't know about the love languages till you shared that with me, and it made perfect sense.
Yes.
That the scriptures admonish us to spend time with God, to, seek Him, meditate, study the Word, which is God and His Word are one. So when we spend that time with Him, because the reason time is so amazing and so precious, you don't get anymore.
And it doesn't matter your economic status,
it's
your race,
irrelevant.
creed,
How
color.
much it's irrelevant.
We all have the same 24 hours a
yes.
day.
Yep.
You can't buy more. You can't borrow some. Like, can I get a couple of your hours?
Exactly.
Because I would be doing that. But it's a fair commodity.
It is. And what's amazing is I found this, getting up early to spend time with the Lord, meditating or in prayer, or just reading or studying or doing something that is toward the Creator, you know, even if it's to benefit, to make us better spiritually, you know, to make us better human beings. These are all things that I believe God views as desirable, you know. So when we talk about that aspect, it's really remarkable how your day, for example, can be expanded by spending that time.
Yes.
So,
and it's funny because in the morning, I'm really slow. I'm really slow in the mornings. And I realized that with Christian, I will, oh my gosh, I only have 20 minutes. I got to be in my shower.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I'm just going to one step at a time and it'll be fine. So I will look up and his school online starts at 9:30.
Okay.
And I realized it's like 9:27 and we're in front of the computer.
Oh,
like,
wow.
How did I do that in 20 minutes? You know, and I just say thank you, Lord, because if you think about it.
So my question is this. What did you do with your first part of the day?
I had my devotion. And
you spent that time.
Yes.
I've experienced that where I get up, spend that time in prayer. I may work on a video. I may write something. I may do something that is related to what we're endeavoring to do to help people. And I wind up leaving. And I should be late getting to the office.
Yeah.
But I get there at 6:59.
And you're like, wait. Okay.
And I'm like, how did I do that?
Yeah.
I have left.
You didn't do it.
I have left 10 minutes early and still just barely get there.
Yeah.
You know, so I firmly believe that when we sow that time to the Lord, it comes back to us.
And what is it when you're talking to someone about an endeavor or a project? Either someone will say, I can't afford it. And what's the very next?
I don't have time.
I don't have time.
People have time for what they want.
People, I hope somebody, can you repeat that, please?
People have time for what they want to do, what they desire to do.
Yes.
They find the time.
Yes.
Because we waste so much time.
Yeah.
Now, you and I, we spend a lot of time together.
Yes.
And I never really thought about it before, but being with someone and spending time with someone is two different things.
Oh, completely.
Because when you and I are together, we could be doing nothing. We could be reading a book. We could be sitting in my office talking. You could be on your computer doing something. I'm on my computer in my office, or I'm sitting in your office.
Right.
But there's a connection there that we're still vibing from. I'm feeling you, and you're feeling me.
Yes.
And so it's still quality time.
Yeah.
Now, you can be in the same room with a person, and there's no connection.
And feel lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's odd how we as human beings are so complicated. Oh my gosh. It's so remarkable. And this relationship between you and I, between spending time with Matthew and with Christian, spending time with friends, and most importantly, spending time with our Creator God yields tremendous benefits.
Yeah. And speaking of Christian, so, you know, he's 16 and a half, and I'm used to, since he was 3, he went off to school. He went off to school to do something. So I had a little chunk of the day to do whatever I need to do, right? And with school being online, we spent a lot of time together. And at first I had a problem with it because I couldn't figure out how to get what I needed to have done.
Okay.
Because I'm so used to having that space of time.
Right.
But I think, 4 weeks later, I'm starting to get into a groove. But I look at Christian just a little bit different. Like, I'm getting to know him a little more.
Yep.
He's starting to respond. And for people who don't know, he's special needs. He's like a 6 to 9 month old.
Exactly.
So it's kind of hard sometimes to know what he's thinking or feeling. But spending this time, and Lord, I have to be in front. I have to get my school clothes out, just like like I do for him, because I have to be in front of the computer. But I'm getting to know him better. I'm having more of an appreciation for his personality, and I can notice things like, okay, wow, that I probably wouldn't have noticed because I'm used to him going to school.
Me too.
Yeah.
I got testimony. I got testimony because since the COVID quarantine and we're working from home, most mornings I've gotten up to give him his 5 o'clock a.m. meds because I'm up anyway.
Yes.
And I have seen him do things in the morning that he only does when he first wakes up.
Yeah.
And I hadn't realized little things he does, the way he takes his thumb and digs in his ear. Most people who dig in their ear, they use this finger to dig in their ear.
Yeah,
he uses his thumb.
He uses his thumb,
to dig in his
and
ear.
And he purses his lip.
Yeah.
When he does it.
And I was like, I'd never seen him do that before. I've never seen him stretch like a little man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that's true. And so what I learned from that is when you spend time, the time you don't normally spend, you have experiences that you don't normally have.
Yeah.
You know, like you and I, with me being home, is enabled you to be able to get out and work out while Christian's home.
Yes.
Whereas if I was having to go to the office every day, you wouldn't be able to get out like you do.
Right.
But because of that, I see what you do in the mornings, you know, and sometimes it's comical watching you get up, put on your biking gear or your running gear or your walking gear. If you're going by yourself, if you're going with your friends, with a group to run or ride or bike or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fun watching you because you'll leave out, you're in the garage, and you say, oops, I forgot something. Oops, I forgot something. Oops, and it's funny.
I am slow in the morning.
But the thing is, you have said that, but I never saw it because I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm going to work. And so
I come back in 3-4 times like, God, help me.
Yeah,
Let me leave.
exactly.
God, please leave.
So what happens is I begin, and by me getting up, giving Christian his meds, I understand how you feel when it's 5 a.m. and it's a rainy day.
Yes.
And the bed is so comfortable.
So good, but you got to get up.
And you got to get up.
Yeah.
I got to go to work. You get up, give him his meds or whatever. But I'm getting up doing that. And so I get a chance to experience how you feel. So my point is, when we spend time with the people we love, and we spend time in an area that we love, there's a thing that happens called mastery.
Unpack that.
Well, mastery has 4 basic facets.
Okay.
The first of which is discipline. The second of which is wisdom, which is learning from the experience of another through a mentor or whatever. The third is doing what you love and loving what you do. And the fourth is surrender.
Okay.
Well, discipline has to do with doing something over and over again until you get it down. So when you spend time with a person, place, or a thing in a disciplined manner consistently, you become familiar with that, how that thing works, how that person thinks, how they feel, how they respond to certain things. All right, and I'm going somewhere with this.
I know. I'm waiting.
All right. So with the example of Matthew, you spending that quality time with him, not just saying, go clean up your room. Did you finish your homework? Are you going to soccer practice? Are you going to swim practice? Are you going to, or what are you doing? But you're spending time with him personally with things that interest him.
Yes.
What you're doing is you're learning the things that make him tick.
Yes. And anyone with a teenager knows that can be complicated.
But it's huge when problems come up.
Yeah.
Because when he has a problem, what does he do?
He calls me.
He calls you. He doesn't call his buddies.
Right.
He doesn't call, Joe down the street or Sam or any of his other friends. He calls you.
Me. Yeah.
The night he got lost, he went to the city.
Oh my gosh.
He got lost.
The suburban child went to the city.
What were his words?
He said, my pray. Will
He
you pray?
said, pray.
Yeah.
Now,
Your teenager asked you to pray. That's
your teenager
insane.
asked you to pray. Now,
Yeah.
what I saw in that is that time you spent with him.
Yeah.
He knows that we, like every night, we had kind of gotten away from him. We're doing it later, but we used to pray every night around 9, every evening, and we gotten back to that more so now.
Yes.
But he saw that. He saw that we believe in prayer.
Yeah.
He knows I get up early to pray. He knows that we pray over every meal. He knows that when certain things are happening, we have prayer.
Yes.
And he has seen that.
Yes.
He may not say anything, but he's observed it.
Yes.
And so when he got in the hickledy-pickle day, the first thing he did was, Ma, pray.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Completely freaked out.
Completely freaked out.
Yeah. It's nighttime in the city
I know.
for a suburban child. He is tripping.
Yeah, exactly. So what that means to me is that that experience that he had was a benefit from the time you spent with him.
Yeah, and
Right.
I tried as soon as he was born, because when he was born, Paige was disabled at that time, so she was 3. He's born, so I was like, okay, now you have to figure out a way to raise at that point 2 completely different children, a healthy child and a
Right.
disabled
Right.
child, and I'm like, he can get stuck in the monotony of taking care of it, because anyone with a disabled family member or their caregiver,
a lot
that's
of
a
time.
time consuming.
Yes,
that's an
very,
all day,
very.
every day
Yes.
task.
Yes.
And so I'm like, you have to make sure he doesn't become resentful of his sister. So we would go, because she was, at that point, she's going off to school during the day. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go for walks. You know, I'm just going to watch Lord, whatever show he wants to watch. And Matthew was good. Will you watch it with me, or will you watch me play? You know what, honey, if that, sure.
And that wasn't indicated in, but you didn't see it.
No, I didn't. I'm just trying to make sure. I don't want him to grow up saying, I didn't have a happy childhood, or I didn't have a fulfilling childhood because my sister was disabled.
Yeah. You don't
And
want
then
that.
as he got older, his younger brother is disabled.
Right.
So he's in this sandwich where he's an only child, but he's not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, Wendy, you are now his playmate.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta spend that time with him, and that was important. My mother had to work as we were growing up, so she missed all of the assemblies, all the award show, and I used to always get trophies because I like trophies. So whatever I had to do to get,
Yeah.
and she was always proud of me when she got home and saw it, but she wasn't in the audience.
Right. Right.
And Matthew today knows that if he has something, I am there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Ma, I
got
know
you.
you got a lot to do. I do, but he knows he's a
And I
priority.
know when I first heard you say that, I was like, wow, that's powerful. That he has that assurance that you have his back.
Yeah.
You know,
he
and
can
that's
assume that. At 19, he can just know she'll
and he does
figure it out. Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah.
He has that assurance. And
Yeah.
so what I was getting at with the mastery is this applies not only to relationships with our children, it should begin with our children.
Definitely.
And I think that, last week on our last show, we were talking about gun violence and how parents have been negligent in teaching their children certain things because they have not spent time with them. Now maybe some parents don't know to spend quality time.
Right. If you didn't have that, like I didn't have it
I
growing
didn't.
up, but I knew that's what I wanted.
Yeah, I didn't.
But some people kind of perpetuate what's been generationally in their family or society. You got to make the money. You got to make that money.
Yeah.
You have to provide for your family.
Yeah, we're
You
told.
don't see in society, you don't see on the news like, okay, how much time have you spent with your child?
No, they don't. No. When I was coming up at 10:30 every night, there was a public announcement, a public service announcement. Do you know where your children are? Every day,
Yeah.
every night. And
But still, that doesn't say, have you spent time with
it
your
does
children?
not. It does not.
We
And
think as a society, we can provide their clothes, they're fed, they have, what they need for school. When they're hungry, they can eat. We have raised our children, but that's not it.
I remember a movie that I never saw the movie. I saw a particular clip from that movie that really was, wow, it was shattering or penetrating. Well, the actor was saying to his son in this portrayal, he said, his son told him, I don't feel like you like me or you love me. He said, come here, sit down. He said, let me tell you something. Who bought those clothes you got on? Who pays for the roof that's over your head?
Yeah.
Who pays for the food that goes into your belly? Mm-hmm. He said, nowhere does it say, I have to like you.
Wow.
I'm taking care of you. I don't have to like you.
Yeah.
I don't have to be your friend.
Yeah.
I'm providing for you. And I was like, wow.
And society would be in the amen corner. Right.
But see, that's the problem.
It is. It really is.
That's the problem. I think the problem is that we don't look to the Creator as our example of what and how and who a parent should be. Our Creator loves us despite what we do.
Yes.
Not because of what we do.
Thank God for that.
Despite what we do. He loves us whether we love our enemies, bless those that curse us, do good to those that hate us and despitefully use us. Whether we do that or not, whether we love him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and our neighbors as ourselves or not, he loves us just the same. He loved us when I was selling drugs and running the street and in gangs and drinking and in 8th grade in school, totally drunk in 8th grade.
Thank God for God.
Yes. But he loved me even then. He protected me even then. The day that we were, the day of our 8th grade graduation, it was, I never will forget it. It was June of 1969. We had a graduation. We're walking down the street. We got little cartons, Wendy, of orange juice and vodka.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we got these little. You remember the little cartons?
I was like, wait, he just went down. He made a turn. I'm like, oh, I thought this was like a warm and fuzzy.
No, it wasn't warm and fuzzy.
Wow.
We had these little cartons of orange juice and vodka.
Wow.
With straws. And so we're walking down the street. We're celebrating.
Vodka sippy cups.
We're sipping vodka and juice walking down the street.
And this is 13.
I was 14.
14. Okay. That made a difference.
All right. So I'm walking down the street. I'm sipping this juice and vodka. And so we're over in this neighborhood because one of the guys in our group had a girlfriend in this one neighborhood that we did not belong in.
Oh, jeez.
It was a different gang in that area. And back then there were territories that you don't cross into that territory if you don't live over there.
Yeah.
So where we came from, we weren't welcome over in that area.
Y'all just
so here we
sipping
go.
and walking.
We just sipping and walking. And this guy comes up to us. It was 4 of us. It was myself, this guy Michael, Warren, and another guy named Michael. Now Michael Jones, who was walking in the back, it was 3 of us and Mike Jones was walking behind us. Michael Jones, we're in 8th grade. He had a beard.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's how long he'd been in 8th grade.
That was I'm like, was he 14? Okay.
No, he was 16 in 8th grade.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
So this guy has got a 38 special in his hand. This guy walking up to us, a guy named Sonny. He walks up to us and he says, "What do you got? What are y'all doing in my hood?" Now we were tall for our ages. We're all 6 feet or taller in 8th grade.
Wow.
And so we looked older than we were. And so and I'm in the middle. He's got this gun pointed right at me. So I'm like, oh, I don't know what to say. I told you about my experience with that other gang that caught me in their neighborhood.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh no, I done wandered into another situation.
Oh my gosh.
So the guy, Michael Jones, he says, "Hey, son, it's me, Mike." And so he looks, he said, "Oh, Mike, okay, y'all can pass on through."
Wow.
Because that was about to
really
be bad.
Turned around.
We left him and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
We said, "Look, you go, man. We're going somewhere. You trouble."
Yeah.
But my point is, God protected me, even though I really didn't understand who he was.
Yeah.
I didn't understand much of anything. At 14, how much do you know about life?
You think you know, but you don't.
think you know, but you don't know. You don't know. So anyway, what I'm getting at is that it's so important to spend that time not only with your children, not only with your spouse, but spend time with your Creator.
Mm-hmm.
And
it makes
then
a difference.
Yeah. Okay, for instance, how much time do you spend? You have the Wendy Life. That's your television show. You have Wendy Life Wednesdays, which is a live you do with Christian every week, every Wednesday on Facebook.
Yes.
All right. And so,
4:30.
right. And then I have your Spirit Life videos that I do on our Life Imagine page on Facebook.
Yes.
So.
And you have your. No, that's
Shattered Ceilings
I'm
with
like,
Road to Eternity.
Yeah,
Road to Eternity
yeah.
television. Yeah. So the time that we spend learning, understanding, appreciating what we're doing, we can't just ignore those endeavors until it's time to do them.
Right.
When it's time, when I need to do a video,
You have to prepare.
You have to be in a frame of mind, your heart has to be pointed in a certain direction. It has to be.
Yes.
Otherwise, what you share is not going to come from your heart to a heart. Because what goes from the head, comes from the head, goes to the head. And it goes in one ear and out the other.
Right.
But that's why we endeavor, the topics we discuss, like this particular topic, is one I think every human being can learn from if they will and improve their life.
And so the thing about time, I wanted to just, for me, is a great example. And I'm blessed that I did the right thing, right?
Okay.
So Paige is born healthy. For people who don't know, she was born healthy. She started walking. She liked music. She was a jokester. At 13 months, she contracted meningitis.
Okay.
Which devastated her brain, which after that, she was not a medical vegetable, but she would just lay there. If you didn't turn her, she didn't get turned. Like, she had to be turned and all the other things that ensued as she got older. But the one thing that I was thankful for at that point where we knew we were taking home a special needs child was that when she was born, I spent, the customary 6 weeks after having her, and then I had to go back to work, and I was crying all day. It was quite sad. But I said, listen, I need to do part-time work because I want her to spend more time with me than at a sitter. We did have a sitter. I think she was there 2.5 days, and I worked 2.5 days. But my 2.5 days off plus the weekend, she's with me 4.5 days.
Okay.
And we spent time together. I watched Elmo on Sesame Street with her. I played with her. I'm a new mom, so I'm fascinated at this little creature
that you created.
Yes, she's growing, and I'm seeing her little personality, and I was having fun with that.
Okay.
When she became ill. So the fact that I had this time, I still have these memories.
Yeah.
She would have been 22 today. I still have these memories of her running around ignoring me because if Elma was on, she didn't have time for you.
Yeah.
But even when she passed, I was very secured. I had left it all on the floor with her.
Okay. Yeah.
I had taken care of her with everything that I could.
Yeah.
I loved her I spent time with her.
Yeah.
Even in this state where you don't know if she hears you or not, if she understands what you're saying or not, she can't respond in kind.
Right.
But I spoke to the little girl that I gave birth to, and I hope that it reached her soul.
Yeah.
And so when she passed, yes, it was devastating, but I knew that I had given her all the love that I had.
And that you didn't miss any moments.
I missed no moments.
You didn't miss any, because can you imagine? I experienced that with my mother. My mother was, she had sarcoidosis, which is a breathing condition. She had this growth from the sarcoidosis, and it was inoperable. And she was diagnosed in 1967.
Wow.
And she dealt with that thing until she passed in the year 2000.
Wow.
That's how long she dealt with that.
Wow.
But when she was to the point where she could no longer live on her own, I wasn't able to, she couldn't live with me because of the way I worked, because I'm working 2 full-time jobs.
Right.
So what I did, I found a nursing home, because she lived up north, on the north side of Chicago. Why she moved up north, I'll never know, but she did.
Yeah.
So when my stepfather passed away, it was just she was living alone. And so she began to fall because of an imbalance she was experiencing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The doctor said, well, if you fall one more time, you're going to have to go into a nursing home. So she did. So what I did, I had her transferred to a brand new nursing home about 10 minutes away from where I lived.
Okay.
So I could go by there, and one of my clients, because that's when I was doing more real estate finance, one of my customers who I did a refinance for was the overnight security. So she would let me in after hours to go visit my mother.
That's awesome.
You know, so I
that's
was
the only time you had after
well.
working
Sometimes
on
I could get there earlier,
Okay.
but often it was after hours. I would go by there and bring her something. You know,
nice.
in the summer I would get a big Mississippi watermelon.
Yeah.
Cut it up in a big mixing bowl. I cut it all up and take it there to her.
Awesome.
And she would just, oh yes, my son bought watermelon. Come on, have some, have some. My mother was very elegant, very beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And
she was beautiful.
she was very giving, you know, and she had a bad temper, but she was very giving.
Yeah.
And so I got a chance to go on Saturdays. I would go by there, and every Saturday afternoon we would watch Hercules and Xena.
Oh, Xena was good.
I know, right?
Oh, I forgot about that too.
So she was in the hospital when they first. She had an issue with her intestines, and they had to do a surgery.
Okay.
And so when they first she was in that hospital after that surgery, and I went to visit. I said, "Mom, you watch Xena?" She said, "Oh, I love Xena." I said, "Me too."
Oh, wow.
Because me and the kids watch it.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is when the kids were still pretty small, and so I would go there every Saturday. We'd watch Hercules and Xena every Saturday.
Yeah. And
that
that
was
meant a lot to her.
it did, and I spent that
Something
time
that
with
simple.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I remember, and the reason I did that was I learned when she was way up north, like north, on the other side of Bryn Mawr North. That's
north.
way north.
Yeah.
I couldn't get up there that often. And when I did get to visit, she just started crying because she said, "You left me here. You just threw me away."
Oh.
I said, "No, Mom, I didn't throw you away. I just couldn't get up here."
Yeah.
She was heartbroken. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to fix this." So after that, I made sure that I spent time with her, talking with her, laughing and joking, and just spending that time. When I got a really nice truck one year on her birthday, and now my mother couldn't drive. She had started taking driving lessons and got mad at somebody and just said, "Forget it."
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she never learned to drive, which wasn't a lot of women in her age bracket.
Yeah.
They didn't drive.
Yeah.
They take public transportation or a cab. But so I got this Lexus truck, and I said, "Mom, guess what?" She said, "What?" "I come and take you for a ride." "Really?" I said, "Yeah, we're gonna go up by the lake."
Yeah.
She said, "Okay, let's go."
Oh.
So she put on her sweater, and we went out to the truck. She said, "You got a Lexus." I said, "Yeah, Ma, this is what you always said you wanted." "Yeah, I did.
Oh,
Got you a
sweet.
Lexus." I said, "Got on you." It was her birthday.
Yeah.
I said, "Let's go for a ride. Let's go." So we went up to the lakefront, and we just by Montrose, by the boat docks, and just sat there and talked. And she's looking and laughing. "Look at that. He shouldn't be trying to run. He's too fat to try to run." She just, oh my gosh, she got such a kick out of it.
Yeah.
My point is that when she passed away, I went to see her. My brother had come home from London to visit in September of 2000. He was here a whole month before he went back. After he went back, she told me, she said, "I'm ready to go. I'm tired. I'm tired of being sick. I'm ready to go." And we had spent that so much time together. And I said, "Mom, you sure that's what you want to do?" Because I was praying for her. I said, "You're not going nowhere unless I stop praying. You're not leaving."
Yeah.
And I believed that.
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm ready to go." I said, "Are you sure it's what you?" She said, "Yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired." So I said, "Okay." And it was a week later, she was gone.
Wow.
Now,
But you were able to do that. And a lot of times that's what we do. A lot of times it works too. We so desperately want our ill loved one to stay here, that they stay because they know we're not
They're
ready
not
for them to
standing
live.
for themselves. They're
They
standing for us.
right?
And she said, my children she used to always say, I want to live to see my children out from under the feet of men and women. And so it was like a week or so later, she was gone. But my older brother didn't get that time with her. He was here and he didn't take it. My sister, who had lost her leg to diabetes, she was unable. My brother's living overseas in London. So I was the only one that really had that quality time with her in her latter
What
years.
a blessing.
It was.
Wow.
Because, I mean, things like, I'm hungry. I want something good to eat. You heard me say that.
Yes. You said, what do you want?
I said, well, Mom, what do you want?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I want something good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's the same thing. The same thing holds true with our Creator. The same thing holds true with our mates. When we spend that quality time talking with each other, not talking at each other or to each other.
Yeah.
You talk, I listen.
Yeah.
I talk, you listen. No, we talk with. We have an exchange.
That's a difference. That's a big difference.
Where we're speaking into each other.
Yeah.
That's the same thing God does. In our prayer time, we're speaking into our Creator. When we meditate, He speaks back into us.
Yeah.
We exhale prayer, and God inhales our prayers and our worship. Then He releases revelation. He releases grace. He releases mercy. And we inhale that blessing, that mercy, that goodness that He releases. So it's a conversation. Conversation isn't always language.
Yeah.
It's not. Sometimes it's just a look. Sometimes it's just an energy you give off.
And that energy becomes stronger the more time you spend with each
Yes,
other.
yes.
You don't have to speak it.
Yes. We've gone past our break. Listen, we're going to take a break right here.
Yeah.
This is such a good topic.
It's an important topic.
It's a vital topic.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll be right back after this break. Looking for God, look no further, look within. Available now in Kindle and paperback on Amazon.com. Order yours today.
You're listening to JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.
And we're back. JW Fusion, we're talking about how do you spell love. How do you spell it, babe?
T-I-M-E. Yeah.
Time. That vital, I would say time is more valuable than land.
It is. Oh, yeah, it is.
You can acquire.
You can acquire land.
You can acquire
lose land.
You can lose land. You can acquire more land.
Yeah.
Now, we can't add any more land to the earth, but you can buy a piece because it's a lot of vacant land.
It is.
But you can't get any more time.
I was this gentleman, Lewis Moore, is going to be on the Wendy Life show this week.
Okay.
And one of his speeches, like the first 5 minutes,
about that.
Knocked me over, right?
Talk about that.
This man is incredible. He was born with some disabilities that he overcame, and then he had a motorcycle accident which disabled him. But he worked really hard, and now he wasn't able to walk. They told him he would never be able to walk, and now he walks. He went from being bedridden to, I think, a wheelchair to a the walker with the four things.
The quad.
The quad, thank you.
Yeah.
And then he now has a cane, but he's determined to get past that.
Okay.
But he said something, and I was like, wow. He said that children don't say, because he spends a lot of time with his daughter.
Okay.
He says, children don't say, yes, my parents love me. Look at their bank account. look at how much money they have. They don't say that. It's the memories that they have of the time that you spent. And that was a near fatal motorcycle accident that he was in. And he has a way that he knows to embrace life, because he saw that he almost didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times in the grief process, when we say goodbye to someone, part of that grief is, I wish I had have done this.
Yeah.
I think Patti LaBelle talks about her sister when she was very sick, and she just wanted Patti to make her an egg sandwich. And Patti said, I don't have time.
Oh, boy.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
And her sister passed before Patti was able to give her, to make her that egg sandwich. And she always says she regretted that. So a lot of times, people think that, you watch the news, you see children passing, you see young people passing, and you just see that as something external. That's not something that can happen to you.
Oh, yeah.
But if you really embrace that tomorrow is not promised.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you really put that in your spirit.
Yeah.
Then you spend that time with that person.
Yes.
You tell your boss, and I know everyone has different responsibilities that they have to tend to, but if you, for instance, our prayer time.
Oh, yeah.
If I am at one of my business meetings, everybody there knows, because it ends at 8:30, and it's close by, so I'm home. Everybody at that meeting knows that you and I pray at 9.
Mm-hmm.
And they will, okay, when do we know you have to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of times where you think that you have to be somewhere, once you get people on the page that you're on,
Yes.
then they understand, well, yep, we know that you have to leave because.
Do you know people respect that?
They do.
They respect that.
People respect that.
Now, that's an example of one of the 4 masteries, which is discipline. That's consistently doing something, maybe at a certain time or in a certain way on a certain day.
Yes.
Or if it's every day.
Yes.
Even if it's just making your bed, as we always talk about making your bed.
Yeah.
I can relate to that with my kids, because for a period of time I was a single parent, and I would, because I worked nights, my sister would stay with them while I was at work, because I worked like 11 and a half hours. I was a machinist at that time. I worked from 5:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
Or I might work.
So that's a half-hour lunch then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or I might work from 7 to 5:30, 7 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. Either way it went, I would get home before they got up, and I would leave going to work maybe an hour before they went to bed, hour and a half before they had to go to bed.
So their waking hours they had you.
Their waking hours, I took them to school. I picked them up from school. I cooked dinner every day. Every day, Monday through Friday, I would cook. Every Tuesday, I made a pie. Every Tuesday, I would make a pie. And Margaret would come home looking in it, because I had a double oven, And so I said, I'm going to put it up here. She said, I don't see it, Daddy, but I smell it. I smell it.
Yeah.
Where is it? I know, I smell it.
Yeah.
I smell that pie. Where is it? And that little girl, ooh, she could eat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But my point is, to this day, my son, James, he is 40 years old.
Yeah.
And he still remembers the times that we went to the movies and how we would get out of one movie and sneak into another one. Or we would go to the drive-in and he would get on the hood of the car back when you could go to the drive-in.
Yeah.
Margaret remembers when I was playing in the band, and I used to take her band practice with me.
Yeah.
She was little.
Oh, wow.
And she would go to band practice. And to this
Awesome.
day, she loved Jimi Hendrix. She loved Bruce Lee. The same things that myself and my younger brother, we were into, she remembers and has embraced as a part of her life.
Yeah, they don't remember. Okay, I remember you got me the G.I. Joe with Kung Fu grip.
They remember the time.
They remember the time.
The time that we spent.
Michael Jackson had a whole song, Remember the Time.
Yeah.
But people remember. The memories that people have are the ones that are the most important.
Yes.
It's not,
yes.
the stuff that you showered them with.
It's not.
Because kids are going to take stuff. If you present them with stuff, they're going to take it.
And
but many times it's that time that makes a difference, and it shapes who they are as they grow.
And how they treat their kids.
And how they treat their own
because
children.
Margaret spends an incredible amount of time with her Brianna and Clarence.
Mm-hmm.
James spends an incredible amount of time with Ava and Kennedy James and Haley. He spends time with those girls.
Yes.
Margaret spends time with her kids. And the thing about spending the time, you're giving of yourself, because this is
you
huge.
Can't delegate that.
You can't delegate that.
Yeah.
Now, what's awesome is this: the only time we give time without pay is to those we love.
That's very true.
We give time to our jobs.
They got to pay you, though.
But they got to give a paycheck. If a paycheck isn't coming, don't
quit.
Look for me.
Yeah.
I'm not here because I like you.
Yeah.
I'm here because you promised to pay me X amount of dollars for being here for 8 hours.
I had a boss like that. She would, back in the day before direct deposit, she would hold on to the checks till later in the afternoon, because people tend to go, they got to go to the bank, they go shopping, and they will come back late. And she would look at me like, Wendy, why aren't you working? I haven't gotten paid yet. So as soon as you hand me that check that I know is in your office, then I get to work. She didn't know what I mean, I was young, but still, yeah, I don't work for free.
No.
But the time that it's just amazing as a parent to spend that time with, like you said, with that child. It makes such a difference, and it's reciprocal if you're open to it.
It is. It really is.
All three of my kids they've taught me something.
Yeah.
And I look at them like, what? Like Matthew will say something today, and I'm like, wait, what?
Matthew says a lot of things that are. I just look at him, and you say he's always done that. He does what he does.
But I've always given him that freedom to ask questions.
Yeah.
I never told him to shut up. I never told him to be seen and not heard. I never.
Let me tell you about being told to shut up. Oh my gosh. I grew up in the era where children are seen, not heard. Get over there and shut up.
Speak only when you're spoken to.
Speak when you're spoken to.
Yeah.
You're being mannish. They tell little girls you're being fast. You're being flip-mouthed. You're this, you're that. And I had ideas and thoughts and visions of what I wanted to be in life. Yeah. And they're telling me to shut up.
Yeah.
So
that does something to a child.
It affected me.
Yes.
It did affect me.
Oh my gosh.
I was a very bright child. Yeah. I was. At 5 years old, I was reading.
Yeah.
I could read. And I always excelled, way advanced in my reading skills at school. But the thing was, I kept being told, shut up, sit down, be quiet, you talk too much, you ask too many questions, you're so nosy.
See?
And I'm being told this, and it matched.
It's suppressing.
It was.
Yeah.
I was so smart that in first grade, they wanted to put me in third grade. And this was back in the day. And, but because I had pneumonia as a baby, I was susceptible to colds. I missed most of an entire school year because I was sick. They still promoted me because I was so advanced.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have been held back a year.
Yeah.
My point is, I was raised in that era where my father didn't spend that time with me. My mother didn't have the luxury of spending time with me. She had to work.
Like my mom, yeah.
And so we were kind of, my older brother spent time with us because he was there.
And he's older.
He's much older, but my point is, if I'd had my father to spend more time and pour into me and to let me see his example of what he did, I would take Jimmy with me. I took James with me when we would go to the movies. He would say, Dad, my friend, your friend, is your friend a female? Oh yeah, she is. Yeah. So she wanted to go to the show with us. I said, okay, that's fine. It's not a problem. Yeah. So this is what we would do. We would get to the movies. And I would say, he would get ready to get out. I said, now you open her door.
Yes.
He was like, oh, okay. And I told her, don't you move. You let him open the door for you.
Yeah.
And I taught him
And her.
And her.
Yeah.
At that age, I
Yeah.
said, you allow him to be a gentleman.
And you be one.
And you always be a gentleman.
Yeah.
And to this day, he treats his wife that way.
Yeah.
You know, and the way he responds, not reacts, responds to his wife. I've never heard them have crossed words. Now, maybe they do, but I kind of think, given the way he is towards her, they discuss things. He has such respect for her.
Yeah.
And that
they were on our show.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They were.
Oh,
they were.
Great conversation.
And it's so vital that we have respectful, introspective, in-depth communication with each other. And it becomes...
And like you said, I know in our community, I can't really speak for other communities, the parent, listen, you do this because I said so.
Yeah.
Just do it.
But why?
Because I said so.
I wasn't even allowed to say, but why?
No, I didn't say. I was thinking that y'all was a little more progressive because I didn't say that.
No, yeah. I didn't know. Oh, no.
Because I said so.
No.
But like you said, your things were messed with you because you were told to shut up.
Yeah.
Like my parents didn't know I had a talent for the arts. You know, my father was physically there, but he wasn't there. So
I understand.
My mother had to work. And when she realized just recently that I knew how to sing, she was like, I didn't know that. I said, I know. I wanted to sing. I wanted to dance. I wanted to act. All of that just made me feel good as a child. And the community center, you know, you got the little free.
Yeah.
Thank God for the community center.
So how did you feel about them not being aware of your feelings, of what you desired to do?
I felt terrible. I'm like, how do you live with me? Okay, you've lived with me for 4 years. If music is on, I know the words, I'm going to sing it. And that was no different in the tiny apartment that we lived in.
Yeah.
I was always singing, and my dad has a great singing voice. And I would think like, Lord, now this man has not had 5 children, and none of us can sing. But I love it so much, but no one said, Wendy, oh my gosh, you have a nice voice. Until I met you, which is crazy. And recently when I sang publicly, people were like, They were. It was in one of our master classes. For Life Imagined.
How comfortable is your comfort zone? And I knew, and it was such a powerful song that you sang.
Yeah.
Because it had not only was it emotional for you, because this is your first time
ever,
and you're on the other side of 50 of singing publicly for the first time.
Yes.
Now, I've been singing publicly and playing music since I was 13 in 7th grade in front of crowds.
Yeah.
But for you, it was a first time. And so it was emotional for me because I knew that a birth was taking place.
Yeah.
And now, how did I know all of these things? Why did I feel these things?
Exactly.
Because of the time that we've spent talking, the time that we've spent. And it's in your nature to communicate. That's your nature. And you get angry. And I'll tell anybody this, and this is a good point. When someone that you care about is talking to you, take the time, mute the television.
Turn it off.
Turn it
Just
off.
Turn it off because you'll be distracted.
Turn off the music. If you're in an automobile, turn the music off.
Yeah, and we do that to today.
And say, okay, now, what were you saying? Because that is sending a message that what you're saying is so important.
It matters.
I want the world to stop so I can hear you.
Yeah, because I will get mad if I see that you're watching TV or you're not. I need eye contact.
The same thing with your children.
Yeah.
When your children say, Mom, I want to talk. Dad, I need to talk.
I'm busy.
Turn the TV off.
Yeah.
Put the work away. If it's something you can't set aside, say, listen, give me 5 minutes. I'm going to finish this.
And stay true to that.
And then keep your word.
Yeah, set that timer for 5 minutes.
And keep that, because I firmly believe that is the foundational reason many children today are so cold and unloving. And even those that are prone to violence in certain areas, is because they weren't given that intimate communication from the parents. They didn't receive that nurturing and that admonition and that rearing in love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A parent showing vulnerability. Say, you know what? I was wrong. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Parents.
A parent telling a child I'm sorry is huge. It's never heard of in most families.
And that's going to make that gives such validation to a child. People who are managers and bosses, it's the same thing. You're in a position of authority. You have a responsibility to admit when you're wrong.
Yes.
You have a responsibility to those that are under you that you are literally rearing in your business. You're rearing them. You're teaching them. You're causing them to mature in an environment you created.
And if you take that time to listen to them, to affirm who they are, to apologize if you're wrong, to take in the ideas that they have, they are more loyal to you.
Yes.
Like for me, I had one boss, I think, two bosses ever that I knew listened to me and respected me, and I would do anything for them. I had another boss who was on the other side of that, and the 2-week notice never happened.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm leaving today.
Yeah.
And
You
she's
had no
like,
respect.
I had zero respect. She didn't have any for me. She didn't listen.
You can't get what you don't give.
Right.
So many times parents.
And that's another thing. Respect your children.
Oh yeah.
You expect your children to respect you, but you're not respecting them by listening to what they're saying.
And respect them.
And respect them for who they are.
And
They're
keep
different.
your word.
Every time.
Keep your word.
You have to keep your word.
People don't realize keeping your word is one of the most powerful forms of communication there is. Because what you're doing is you're saying, I'm honoring my word to you because you matter to me. You are important. Who you are and what you do matter to me.
Yeah.
You don't have to say the words.
No.
But the fact that you kept your word and you don't mention it, you just come back and say, hey, I remember I promised you thus and so. Here it is.
Matthew knows that if I say something, I had to learn to not always say it like that. Tomorrow we're going to go to the museum, but let me wake up and see how I feel. And then I'd announce it. But if I had told him on Tuesday, we're going to go to the museum.
I have seen you do that.
If I was tired, if I was sick, I just didn't feel like going. We went because I told him.
I have seen you do that. You said, I told him I was going. I don't feel like it. I don't feel good. But you've had times where you didn't feel well and you explained it.
Right.
Instead of just not saying anything as if you never made the promise.
Yeah.
That's no good.
Yeah.
That's no good. So to sum it all up, sum it up, Wendy.
To make
love equals
time. And it doesn't always need I have to spend the whole day with this person. Just you taking that time, like I'm fortunate to work from home. Matthew would know if he came in my office, I stopped working. I may have an attitude internally like, but if your child wants to come and spend time with you, especially as they get older, that means something.
It means a lot.
Because I was warned, when he becomes a teenager, he's not going to want to spend time with you, or he's going to be with his boys. Matthew today would be like, Mom, can we go walk? Can I come over?
And he tells his friends, I'm hanging because we have been out together, me, you, and Matthew. When Christina was here with Christian, we would go. I went to the bookstore with you.
Yes. And
his friends would call. He said, I'm out with my parents right now.
Yeah, who does that?
I'll call you back later.
Bye. He gets off the phone.
And they're like, what?
But he got that from me as he was coming up. So spend that time, figure it out. It's like you said, people find time for what they want to spend time for.
Yes, they do.
Your children are the number one thing.
They're
vital.
It's vital. Listen, our time is up.
Great
Thank
conversation.
you. Listen, thank you so much for your brilliance, your mind, your intellect, and your beauty.
It's reciprocal, babe.
Oh, shoot.
It's reciprocal.
Thank you. Listen, we've enjoyed this. Thank you for spending this time with us. Until next week, allow God's grace to continue to flow in your life as a mighty river.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.